Hi everybody, it's Coach Rob. Welcome back to a new training week. And one of the things that I want to talk about is something we've recently talked about, and that is staying cool. And primarily that conversation was around your training itself and the advantages of recovering quicker. It's really hot out there, and we've got to do everything that we can, one, to be safe, and two, to maximize our performance. One of the things that surprises athletes is when we start talking about temperatures here in the United States approaching 90, and we start looking at humidity well above 60%, that is a recipe for a very high heat index, meaning the feels like temperature starts hitting the hundreds, and it will impact your performance. And so much so that you could become ill. Heat illness is a very big part of, life as an endurance athlete. Eventually it's going to get you, but you can really do a lot to mitigate that. One of the things that I've been talking to my athletes about quite a bit recently is how ice can improve your performance. I'm going to share some links in the show notes for this video, and then you can go there and learn yourself. These are actual studies. These are not things that you want to necessarily consume on a regular basis because they're pretty in-depth, but it's something I wanted to bring to your attention. Things to think about. When you start looking at temperatures above 85 and humidity in the 60% or greater range, it may be time to start thinking about in competition cooling practices or strategies. The one that I use in cycling most often is going to be pre-cooling. I'm going to spend anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes warming up for that event. And in doing so, traditionally what I have done is I'm drinking water that is almost frozen. You might actually have a slush. If you have a slushy maker, great. You put that in there with your favorite sports mix, and then you can drink that down during your warm-up. It'll help keep your core temperature cooler. But however, what I have found to be the most effective use of my time is an ice sock. Now, we did not talk about that much at all, I think, on that QuickTip series. But an ice sock is pretty simple and straightforward. Think of a women's or men's dress sock, usually about like that long, I think. And in that, you want to just pack it full of ice. Now, when you're training, what can be tricky as a cyclist is depending on the garment you're wearing. If you're wearing a traditional jersey, there's enough of a collar there that you can wrap it around your neck and stuff it under your collar. And the reason why we want it around your neck is because of the carotid artery. Carotid artery is a very large artery, and it's going to take all of that cold and it's going to pump it through your veins, helping to lower your core temperature. The problem with putting ice that close to the skin is it's going to hurt. I'm not going to lie, it's going to hurt. And you definitely don't want to do these in lower temperatures. This is meant for hot conditions. The lower you go in temperature, you do risk hypothermia. And that would be kind of embarrassing, wouldn't it? That you have hypothermia in the middle of the summer. So be careful how you do this. And remember, it's going to hurt a little bit at first. That the reason why it hurts is the restriction of blood vessels. So you've got smaller blood vessels closing down from that cold, and it hurts a little bit. Now, if you're wearing a skin suit, some skin suits have collars, others do not. When I see a deep V skin suit, I don't think of that as a skin suit. I think of it as a speed suit. Criterium specialists, all sorts of people are really starting to turn up the wick on their kit and buying more and more aerodynamic clothing, and getting rid of that, the neck piece, the collar, is going to help a little bit. Problem is that there's nowhere to put that ice sock. So what you have to do is pull back on the back of your skin suit, your speed suit. You take that long ice sock and you drop it down your back right along your spine. It is not nearly as effective, I have found, as wrapping it around your neck, but it's better than nothing at all. The other thing that you want to think about is you also want to take into consideration doing your warm-up on a trainer or in a cooler environment if you can. And if you can't, you have to do your trainer outside. Try to find some shade when you're doing it. You can also use things like ice vests or cooling vests. These are vests that look like, almost looks like a bulletproof vest that someone in the military or law enforcement would wear. But instead of Kevlar on the inside, you've got little pouches for frozen gel packs. And you can refreeze these and refreeze these, and if they bust or they break on you, you can replace the packs. Pretty inexpensive solution to pre-cooling. Now, once you've done your warm-up 30, 45 minutes and you're heading out to your race, you can still race with a cooling fluid. Whether, once again, it's through drinking a frozen concentrate of your sports drink that's more of a slush, or you can actually still use yet another ice sock. Same thing holds true, neck or the back of the speed suit. And in both of those cases, you're going to have to remember something. It's a wet mess. And it's going to help keep you cooler because everything is soaking wet. And I mean everything from neck down, you're soaking wet. And moving through that hot air with a really cold fluid moving over your body is going to help a lot. It may not be comfortable. And if you're prone to heat rash and things like that, you might want to bulk up a little bit on your chamois cream. The other thing that you can think about doing, and this is something that has been really well researched in the last 5 years. As a matter of fact, so much so that a lot of people had some concerns about what kind of impact this practice might have during the 2021 Olympics in Tokyo. And that is the use of things like menthol or peppermint or spearmint, because it is a known ergogenic aid. If you're using a food grade oil, it's possible to use it in another mix or paste. It can be applied to the skin either as a paste or as a spray. And it is known by breathing this in that it is possible for your body to think that it's cooler. That right there, though, could be a recipe for a heat illness or a heat sickness, if you like, because your core temperature has not changed. But mentally, and there's a name for this, and I apologize for not having it off the top of my head, your body's responding in kind that the core is lower than it actually is. So it is a possible thing to do. I blend the two. Recently, what I did during my warm-up is I had some cotton swabs or some cotton balls that I soaked in medium chain triglyceride oil. It's an oil carrier. You don't ever want to take an aromatherapy oil and put it on skin that's sensitive because it can burn you. So I use that as my carrier oil. You can use coconut oil, olive oil, grapeseed oil, all kinds of things. And then I would put in, I think it was about 3 or 4 drops spearmint oil. And then I put it in a bag and I kind of do this, get it all into the cotton swabs, pull the cotton swabs apart, boom, they go straight into my nostril. Do not do this before a race. Please practice this in training first. Anything that you see new that sounds interesting or novel that may help you, always practice in training. That's what training's for. It is practice for race day. All right, everybody. Let me know if you've ever tried any of these things. There's also this concept of using the menthol in a mouth rinse. Remember, once again, if you're going to do something like this, do your research first. I'm not going to give you a recipe for that. And I do want you to let you know, remember, again, that needs to be food grade menthol, not something that you would put in for good smelling soaps or something like that. No. That could make you very, 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 very ill. Very large doses of menthol can have some bad consequences. So do your research, understand what you're getting yourself into, and let me know what you've tried in practice. Thanks, everybody. Have a great race training week.